Picture this. You're at another wedding, your plate full of rubbery chicken, your glass filled with some bubbly. You're there as a +1 to your mom, watching another pair of happy, oblivious lovebirds dance their way into forever while you're left wondering, why not me? If you're tired of swiping, tired of dead-end dates, and tired of family asking when it's your turn, then here's some news for you. Finding love is hard, but it doesn't have to be, and it's not your fault. Modern dating has turned a basic need, companionship, into an overwhelming maze. But what if I told you, you could stop fumbling, let go of soulmate fantasies, and actually approach love with some smart strategy? Introduction. Alright, let's get real. If you're frustrated with dating, wondering why it's so hard to find someone decent, or feeling like love is some secret everyone else figured out, you're not alone. And it's not all in your head. In How to Not Die Alone, Logan Ury, a Harvard-trained behavioral scientist and director of relationship science at Hinge, drops the harsh but eye-opening truth about why so many of us struggle in love. Spoiler alert, it's not bad luck, and it's not that all the good ones are taken. It's us, our choices, our outdated habits, and our unrealistic expectations. Ury brings a scientific approach to dating, dragging modern romance out of the world of fairy tales and putting it squarely in the realm of reality. Forget everything you've seen in rom-coms. Real love isn't about waiting for destiny to sweep you off your feet. It's about making intentional, smart choices that set you up for a real connection. Ury's approach is based on behavioral science and raw honesty, breaking down why so many people sabotage their love lives without even realizing it. In this book, Ury tackles the big questions. Why do so many of us cling to the idea of a soulmate? Why do we waste time on people who aren't right for us? Why are we so scared to define the relationship? And most importantly, how can we break out of these patterns to finally find and keep the love we want? Whether you're a serial dater, a hopeless romantic, or a commitment phobe, Ury has no-nonsense, research-backed strategies that will help you see your love life in a whole new light. If you're tired of dead-end dates, mixed signals, and waiting around for the one, How to Not Die Alone is your wake-up call. It's time to ditch the myths and start dating with purpose. Welcome to Mindful Reads Hub. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Why dating is harder now than ever before. Let's face it, dating today feels like a full-time job that doesn't pay and might actually make you lose your mind. Modern dating is a complicated cocktail of endless swiping, cryptic texts, ghosting, and FOMO, wrapped up in a society that has handed you the power to find the perfect partner, but zero guidance on how to do it. And guess what? It's not all in your head. Dating today is harder than ever. Logan Ury begins her book with a brutal truth. Thanks to unprecedented freedom and an overwhelming number of choices, we're all a little lost when it comes to love. So, why is dating so much more stressful than it was for previous generations? To start, our ancestors didn't have to contend with so many choices. Marriage was often about convenience, family alliances, and survival, not an endless hunt for the one. A few generations back, people mostly met their partners through family, friends, or neighbors and got married young, with fewer options and far fewer expectations. By today's standards, that might sound limiting, but it meant people were less likely to spend years searching for something or someone better. Modern life, however, hands us a blank slate and says, make all the choices you want. The result? Decision overload. We're bombarded with potential partners to the point that making a choice can feel paralyzing. Ury calls this the paradox of choice, a concept coined by psychologist Barry Schwartz, which states that while having options feels empowering, too many choices make us less happy and more doubtful. It's like wandering around a buffet that has every cuisine under the sun, unable to pick a dish because you're haunted by what you might be missing out on. And with dating apps, the problem intensifies. Why commit to Alex, who's really nice but occasionally talks with his mouth full, when you could swipe left a few more times and meet Sam, who's into the same obscure indie bands you love? Adding fuel to the fire, social media's constant stream of picture-perfect relationships can make you feel like you're doing something wrong. Every day, you're exposed to perfectly curated couple goals, people who only post highlights, sunsets, anniversaries, engagement shoots. You don't see their arguments about whose family they'll spend Thanksgiving with, or their disagreements over finances. You're left comparing your real, messy dating life to someone else's filtered bliss, a phenomenon Ury calls compare and despair. It's a mental trap that amplifies dissatisfaction and leaves you feeling isolated and unworthy. The final challenge? Pressure. Society bombards us with messages that make love feel like a life or death decision, a make or break choice that dictates our happiness and success. There's Sheryl Sandberg telling women to marry the right partner for career success, and parents pushing you to avoid their own mistakes, as if finding love was a matter of life strategy rather than mutual effort. Key takeaway: dating today is challenging because of freedom and expectation overload. Let go of the idea that finding love is about finding someone who's perfect on every level or matches every ideal you see on social media. Accept that you'll make choices, and that's okay. Choose wisely, yes, but realize there is no single right answer. Chapter 2, the 3 dating tendencies. Alright, confession time. If you're constantly asking yourself, why am I still single? Then it's time to take a hard look at what's holding you back. Logan Ury argues that it's not fate, bad luck, or some cosmic joke. It's most likely you. Yes, you. We all have these sneaky little patterns or dating blind spots that make us unknowingly sabotage our love lives. They're like the hidden spyware in our brains, whispering terrible advice and leading us straight into the same old dating traps. After years of studying daters in the wild, Ury has identified 3 main types of blind spots. These tendencies, as she calls them, are the psychological roadblocks that trip us up, making us think we're out there looking for love while we're actually running in circles. Let's break them down. First is the Romanticizer. Meet the hopeless romantic who's just sure their soulmate is out there, destined to waltz into their life and sweep them off their feet. Romanticizers want fireworks, fairy tales, and an epic love story with the meet cute to match. But here's the thing, they're more in love with the idea of love than with an actual person. Romanticizers think dating apps are too unromantic and that if a date doesn't feel right immediately, they're wasting their time. The problem? They're so obsessed with this mythical perfect match that they refuse to give real people a fair chance. They believe love should be effortless, like it is in the movies. But here's the truth. If you're looking for someone with perfect hair, perfect teeth, and a perfect personality, you'll end up perfectly alone. Romanticizers have sky-high standards for everything but themselves. Next are the maximizers. Now, these folks are the opposite of romanticizers. Where romanticizers dream, maximizers analyze. They're the types who would rather take a 3-hour survey than just pick a Netflix show to watch. Maximizers are the ones who think why settle means why commit. They're perpetually looking for the best possible option, convinced that somewhere out there is someone who will check every box, satisfy every need, and make them 100% certain they've made the right choice. When they meet someone great, they can't help but wonder if there's someone greater around the corner. But here's the reality check. Love doesn't work like buying a new laptop. It's not about comparing models or running a pro or con list. Maximizers are so busy hunting for better that they can't see the good right in front of them. Last but not least are the hesitators. Let's talk about the I'll date when I'm ready types. Hesitators are the people who think they need to fix themselves before they deserve a relationship. They're always waiting to lose those 10 pounds, get that promotion, save a little more money, or sort out their baggage before they jump into the dating pool. They think, once I'm perfect, the perfect relationship will just fall into my lap. But here's a reality check. That day will never come. Self-improvement is great, but hesitators use it as an excuse to avoid putting themselves out there. They treat dating like a prize for becoming a flawless human instead of seeing it as a skill they need to practice. Waiting until you're ready is like saying you'll run a marathon once you're fit enough. It's backwards logic. Spoiler alert, you're never going to feel perfectly ready. So, what's the common thread here? Each of these tendencies is built on unrealistic expectations of relationships, partners, or themselves. Romanticizers think they're owed a fairy tale. Maximizers think they can analyze their way to happiness, and hesitators think they have to earn the right to date. These patterns aren't just quirky personality traits, they're deeply ingrained beliefs that are sabotaging your love life. Key takeaway: figure out which type you are so you can stop getting in your own way. Self-awareness is the first step toward breaking these habits, and it's a lot easier to make better choices when you know what's holding you back. Let go of unrealistic expectations and start seeing dating as a process of learning, adapting, and growing, not some cosmic scavenger hunt for the one. Chapter 3. Disney lied to us. Here's a truth bomb. Disney did a number on us. Every Disney movie, rom-com, and pop song has been lying to us about love, filling our heads with unrealistic fantasies and setting us up for massive disappointment. If you're someone who believes that true love is effortless, or that there's a one out there who will magically complete you, you've been duped by the soulmate myth. In this chapter, Ury calls out these fairy tale expectations as the toxic, unrealistic nonsense they really are. Let's start with the big lie, the soulmate myth. Romanticizers, this is especially for you. From an early age, we've been spoon-fed this idea that there's a perfect match out there who will sweep us off our feet and make life magically better. And when we meet this person, we'll just know they're the one. But Ury is here to tell you that there's no such thing as a soulmate. Real relationships are not destiny or fate. They're built brick by brick through effort, compromise, and a willingness to deal with someone's flaws. The soulmate idea sounds dreamy, but it sets you up for disappointment because it makes you believe that love should be easy. And when it's not, you think it must be wrong. Now let's talk about the happily ever after fallacy. Thanks to Hollywood, many of us believe that once we find the one, everything else will fall into place. We think of love as a destination, something we achieve, like finishing a marathon or winning a trophy. But in real life, the hard part of love isn't finding someone, it's keeping the relationship alive. Real love isn't what happens before the credits roll. It's what happens after. It's the 1,000 little choices you make to stay connected, to work through disagreements, and to keep growing together. Romanticizers who are stuck in the happily ever after mindset are bound to be disappointed when their relationships hit rough patches, because every relationship does. Ury also warns against the dangers of social media romance goals. Social media is a highlight reel, not real life. When you're scrolling through perfect couples at sunset or seeing engagement photos in Bali, you're seeing a curated reality, not the whole picture. No one posts about the tough conversations, the financial stress, or the rough patches. So if you're comparing your real-life relationship to someone's Instagram-filtered romance, you're setting yourself up for failure. Real relationships are messy, imperfect, and built in the unfiltered, uninstagrammable moments of life. Key takeaway: if you're clinging to soulmate fantasies, it's time to let them go. Real love isn't about finding the one, it's about finding someone you can grow with, flaws and all. Embrace the work it out mindset. Fairy tales are cute, but they won't get you through the tough parts of a relationship. A strong partnership is something you create, not something that just happens. Chapter 4. Don't let perfect be the enemy of great. Let's get real. If you're constantly waiting for a perfect person, you're setting yourself up for lifelong disappointment. This chapter is for all the maximizers out there who believe that they'll find happiness by thoroughly exploring every option. You know who you are. You're the one who reads a dozen Yelp reviews before choosing a lunch spot, spends weeks researching gadgets before buying, and thinks love is just another decision that requires endless comparison and analysis. But here's the harsh truth. Perfection doesn't exist, and chasing it is ruining your chances at happiness. Maximizers are the ultimate FOMO daters. They're so terrified of settling that they keep searching for a partner who checks every single box on their list. They're not just picky, they're obsessive. Even when they find someone who meets 95% of their criteria, they can't help but wonder if they'd be 5% happier with someone else. And this obsession with finding the best doesn't make them happier. It makes them miserable, anxious, and constantly second-guessing. Maximizers end up so overwhelmed by choice that they can't commit to anyone, missing out on real opportunities for connection. In dating, the maximizer mindset is poison. Ury explains that when you're constantly looking for something better, you don't give yourself a chance to actually be happy. Real love isn't about finding a flawless person. It's about finding someone great and deciding to commit to them. A maximizer's approach to love is like trying to buy the perfect pair of shoes. You spend hours or months searching, analyzing, comparing, and then when you finally make a choice, you're haunted by the idea that you might have missed something better. But Ury reminds us of an important truth. Happiness isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about deciding to be happy with the person you've chosen. In fact, studies show that satisficers, people who settle for good enough once they find something that meets their standards, are actually happier than maximizers who obsess over perfection. Satisficers make decisions, move forward, and find contentment in what they have. Maximizers, on the other hand, are forever stuck in a loop of what if. Key takeaway: stop waiting for perfect. In love, good enough isn't settling, it's realistic. Commit to someone who meets your standards and let go of the need for them to be flawless. Happiness isn't about finding someone without flaws. It's about finding someone whose flaws you can live with. Let go of the endless search and start building something real. Chapter 5. Don't wait, date. Alright, here's some tough love for the hesitators out there. If you're waiting for the perfect moment to start dating, newsflash, you're setting yourself up for endless delay. Logan Ury calls out the hesitator mindset with absolute clarity. People who hold off on dating because they're not ready or just need to fix a few things first are using that as an excuse. And guess what? That perfect moment is never gonna come. Let's break down what it means to be a hesitator. Hesitators are convinced they have to be flawless before they're ready to start a relationship. They think, once I get promoted or once I lose 10 pounds, then I'll be ready to put myself out there. But here's Ury's take. Dating isn't some prize you get for self-improvement. It's a skill that you build by getting out there and doing it. You don't wait to get in shape before you start working out. So why would you wait until you're ready to date? In fact, thinking that you need to be perfect before you deserve love is backwards. Newsflash, you deserve love just as you are right now. Hesitators often believe that self-improvement is noble, that it's responsible. They convince themselves that waiting until they're more accomplished or more together will somehow make them more attractive or better equipped to handle a relationship. But this kind of thinking is a trap. The truth is, dating isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. Every year you spend waiting is a year of missed opportunities to connect, to learn, and to grow through relationships. And here's a pro tip. The growth you get from actual dating is wildly different and better than what you'll get from waiting on the sidelines. The irony of the hesitator mindset: the longer you wait, the harder it gets. You start over-analyzing, building up dating in your head as some huge, impossible thing. The stakes get higher, and pretty soon you're thinking, how will I ever live up to my own standards? The pressure snowballs, and instead of boosting your confidence, all that waiting actually makes you more anxious. So Ury's advice is simple. Stop making excuses. There's no magic moment when you'll suddenly feel ready, so you might as well jump in now. One of Ury's most powerful arguments in this chapter is that dating is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. The only way to get better at connecting with others is by doing it. Putting yourself out there isn't going to feel perfect or comfortable at first, but that's normal. It's messy, awkward, and sometimes disappointing. But if you're willing to push through, you'll get better at understanding what you want, recognizing red flags, and building connections that actually mean something. Every date, good or bad, teaches you something valuable. And for those hesitators who worry they're not good enough, Ury has a straightforward reality check. Dating isn't about finding someone who thinks you're flawless. It's about finding someone who loves you, flaws and all. Nobody's perfect, and most people aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for connection, for honesty, for someone who feels real. So if you're holding back because you don't think you're ready, remember that what actually matters is your willingness to connect and be vulnerable, not some unattainable standard of perfection. Key takeaway: stop hiding behind self-improvement as an excuse to avoid dating. There's no right time to start. Start now, as you are. Dating isn't about being perfect, it's about being willing to show up, flaws and all, and learning as you go. Chapter 6, Date Deliberately. So, here's the hard truth. If your dating life feels like an endless loop of mindless swiping, surface level texting, and boring dates, it's time to stop and rethink your strategy. Logan Ury's advice is clear. Date deliberately. That means approaching dating with the same purpose you bring to other parts of your life, not just hoping love will fall into your lap. Dating without purpose is like wandering aimlessly around a giant department store and hoping you'll magically find exactly what you need. You won't. It's time to stop dating by default and start dating with intention. Ury makes it clear that dating deliberately starts with getting real about what you're looking for. Most people walk into dating with a vague idea of someone great or someone nice, and then wonder why they're not finding lasting connection. Imagine applying for a job without knowing the position or what skills you need. It'd be a mess, right? Dating is no different. If you want something meaningful, you need a clear picture of what that actually looks like. Do you want a partner who's adventurous? Someone who's career-driven? Someone who's calm and grounded? Figure it out. Knowing what you want doesn't make you picky. It makes you intentional. But here's where it gets interesting. Ury argues that dating deliberately isn't just about knowing your type or making a checklist of must-have traits. It's about setting real goals for how you approach the dating process itself. Ask yourself questions like, how many dates will I go on each month? How will I follow up with people I'm interested in? What will I do differently if I notice myself repeating the same patterns? Setting clear, actionable goals helps keep you focused and prevents you from falling back into old habits that don't work. One of Ury's most powerful points in this chapter is that you need to use dating apps as a tool, not a crutch. If you find yourself endlessly swiping without actually making real connections, you're not using the apps effectively. Think of them as a launch pad, not a final destination. Use your time on apps to vet people, look for compatible values, and then get off the app and meet face to face as soon as possible. There's only so much you can learn from a screen, and real chemistry needs in-person interaction. If you're treating apps like a casual game to pass the time, don't be surprised when you end up with people who aren't taking it seriously either. And one more thing. Ury advises against dating out of fear or obligation. Too many people force themselves into dates just because they don't want to feel like they're falling behind. But this kind of mindless dating doesn't lead to real connection. It just leads to burnout. Date because you genuinely want to find someone special, not because you're terrified of being single. Real love requires you to be present, focused, and willing to invest, not just showing up to tick a box. Key takeaway. Stop dating by default and start dating with intention. Get clear on what you're looking for, set goals for how you'll approach the process, and remember that apps are tools, not the end game. Dating deliberately is about quality over quantity, knowing what you want and choosing connections that bring you closer to your goals. Chapter 7. Don't go for the prom date, go for the life partner. Here's a cold, hard truth. Your type might be the exact reason you're still single. If you're constantly drawn to a certain kind of person, someone who looks or acts a certain way, someone who's fun in the short term, but not reliable in the long term, then you might be picking people for the prom date instead of the life partner. Ury argues that many of us chase after what feels exciting in the moment, like chemistry or good looks, and then wonder why those relationships burn out fast. Newsflash. The person you're most drawn to isn't always the one you should be with. The concept of prom date versus life partner is about focusing on lasting qualities over short-term attraction. The prom date is all about the thrill and the superficial stuff, someone who's fun, attractive, and makes you feel like you're in a romantic comedy. But the life partner? That's the person with traits that will actually make a relationship work in the long run. If you've been choosing partners based on what they bring to a single night rather than what they bring to a lifetime, it's time to rethink your priorities. Ury doesn't suggest throwing attraction out the window. Chemistry matters, but when you're looking for a partner who will stand by you through all of life's ups and downs, you need more than just fireworks. Real compatibility is built on shared values, mutual respect, and emotional support. If you're looking for a serious relationship, focus on people who show up consistently, not just the ones who sweep you off your feet with grand gestures or fancy dates. A life partner is someone who will support your dreams, respect your boundaries, and keep the connection going after the honeymoon phase ends. One of Ury's most important points here is about distinguishing between infatuation and compatibility. The butterflies you get on a first date can feel thrilling, but they don't necessarily mean you're compatible. Those sparks often come from novelty or from the thrill of the unknown, not from a real understanding of who the other person is. Don't mistake that feeling for true connection. True compatibility is quieter. It's when you feel calm, understood, and respected, even if there aren't constant fireworks. The prom date might make you feel giddy, but the life partner makes you feel secure. And here's the kicker. Ury argues that the person who's right for you might not look like what you expect. If you're only dating people who fit a certain mold, you could be overlooking people who would actually make great partners. Maybe they're a little quieter than you're used to, or they don't look like the ideal partner you've built up in your head. But if they show up with kindness, empathy, and consistency, they're worth considering. Don't miss out on something great because you're holding onto an unrealistic fantasy. Key takeaway: ditch the prom date mentality and focus on finding someone who's life partner material. Real compatibility is about shared values and mutual respect, not just instant sparks. Go for someone who's in it for the long haul, not just the thrill of the moment. Your type might be leading you astray. Be open to connection with people who are genuinely good for you. Chapter 8. Make dating more fun. Yes, you heard that right. Dating is supposed to be fun. If your dating life feels like a series of boring, repetitive interviews, Logan Ury is here to remind you that you're doing it wrong. Dating doesn't have to be a soul-sucking process where you're perpetually answering the same questions or pretending to be more polished than you really are. If you're not enjoying yourself, it's time to shake things up and bring some joy back into the process. Ury's first tip: take the pressure off. Too often, people approach dating with an all-or-nothing mindset, putting massive expectations on every date to go somewhere. But here's the thing, not every date is meant to be a stepping stone to marriage. Not every interaction has to lead to a serious relationship. Sometimes, dating is just a chance to meet new people, try new things, and learn more about yourself. If you're constantly sizing people up or worrying about whether they meet your long-term criteria, you're missing out on the fun of the moment. Ury suggests treating each date as an opportunity to learn something new, not as an audition for your future spouse. Another game changer? Take control of the experience. If you're sick of the standard dinner and drinks routine, suggest something that reflects your real interests. If you love the outdoors, invite them for a walk in the park. If you're a movie buff, check out an indie film together. When you plan dates that align with your passions, you're not only more likely to have a good time, but you're also more likely to attract people who appreciate you for who you are. Plus, getting out of the typical dinner setting allows you both to relax, making it easier to show your true selves. A date should be about connecting over shared interests, not just ticking off checkboxes. Ury also warns against the trap of the good on paper mentality. A lot of people go into dating with a rigid checklist of traits that their ideal partner must have: job, education, height, income, you name it. But here's the truth. Checking boxes doesn't make a person a good partner. The most important question you should be asking yourself on a date isn't, do they meet my criteria? But how do I feel around this person? Real connection often surprises you, and focusing too much on a rigid list of requirements can make you miss out on the people who could actually bring joy, excitement, and depth to your life. Let go of the checklists and focus on the vibe. And here's the final tip. See dating as a way to learn about yourself too. Each date, each conversation is an opportunity for self-reflection. You're not just getting to know other people, you're also discovering what you like, what you don't, and what really matters to you in a relationship. Every date is a little mirror, reflecting back what you want, what you're afraid of, and how you've grown. Don't treat dating like a game you're trying to win. Treat it like a journey, a way to understand yourself better while also connecting with others. Key takeaway: if dating feels like a chore, you're missing the point. Take the pressure off, be yourself, and focus on making genuine connections rather than ticking boxes. Let go of the good on paper mentality, and remember that dating is about the experience, not just the end goal. Have fun, stay curious, and see it as an opportunity to learn, both about others and yourself. Chapter 9. Stop playing hard to get. Alright, let's get real about playing hard to get. If you're still following the old school advice that you need to be aloof to be attractive, it's time to rethink that strategy. Logan Ury is here to tell you that playing hard to get might just be ruining your chances at real connection. Yes, we've all heard that being mysterious or keeping them guessing supposedly makes you desirable. But here's the thing, in today's dating world, where most people are looking for something real, playing hard to get just makes you look uninterested, or worse, confusing. The kind of relationship you actually want? It's built on clarity, not games. Ury lays it out straight. When you act disinterested, you're not sparking curiosity. You're giving off a not worth my time vibe. It's easy to think that keeping someone at arm's length will make them chase you, but mature, emotionally intelligent people, the ones who actually want a relationship, don't have time for games. They're looking for honesty and someone who's upfront about their interest, not someone who's putting up walls. Acting distant only works to attract people who enjoy the chase, not people who are interested in something serious. If you're ready to move beyond situationships and drama, it's time to leave hard to get in the dust. Let's talk about what playing hard to get actually signals. To many, it's a sign of insecurity. If you're relying on games to spark attraction, it's usually because you're scared to be direct. But here's the twist. True confidence is about being open with your feelings, not hiding them. When you like someone, be clear about it. Expressing interest doesn't make you seem desperate, it makes you look confident and secure. And guess what? That's exactly what makes you attractive to the right people. Ury emphasizes that clarity is more alluring than mystery because it shows emotional maturity. When you're willing to be upfront, you're telling the other person that you know what you want and aren't afraid to go after it. In fact, Ury suggests you practice intentional dating, a concept that's pretty much the opposite of playing hard to get. Intentional dating is all about clarity, openness, and purpose. If you like someone, show them. It doesn't mean you need to lay out a detailed life plan on the first date, but you should be honest about your interest and what you're looking for. Ury points out that people are more likely to feel connected when they know where they stand. A simple, genuine, "I really enjoyed spending time with you," or "I'd love to see you again," sends a clear message without creating confusion. For those who worry that being too direct might make them look eager, here's a critical distinction. Eagerness and neediness are not the same thing. Eagerness is a positive expression of your interest. It says you're confident in who you are and excited to connect. Neediness, on the other hand, is seeking constant validation and reassurance. Eagerness is attractive because it's honest and refreshing, while neediness can push people away because it signals insecurity. Ury's advice? Be clear and confident without needing constant approval. It's a balance, but one that pays off when you approach dating with authenticity rather than a strategy. And here's the kicker. Real relationships are built on vulnerability, not a facade. Playing hard to get might make someone curious in the short term, but it doesn't create the kind of trust and openness that's needed for lasting love. In fact, research shows that people are more attracted to those who are openly interested in them. Playing games not only wastes your time, but keeps you from attracting emotionally healthy people who are actually serious about a relationship. Key takeaway: ditch the games and be upfront. If you want to attract someone who's emotionally mature and ready for a real relationship, clarity and authenticity are your best tools. Playing hard to get may have worked in high school, but as an adult, real confidence means showing genuine interest. Be direct, be honest, and stop hiding behind a fake persona. True connection doesn't come from manipulation, it comes from being real. Chapter 10. Define the relationship sooner rather than later. Alright, here's something a lot of people avoid, the define the relationship, DTR talk. If you're someone who shies away from discussing where things stand because you don't want to ruin the vibe or scare them off, Logan Ury has a direct message for you. Stop wasting your own time. When you're serious about finding a committed relationship, ambiguity isn't your friend. Being unclear about your relationship status doesn't protect you from rejection, it just keeps you stuck in limbo, second-guessing, over-analyzing, and ultimately holding yourself back. The DTR is all about clarity and control over your love life. You wouldn't stay in a job if your boss was vague about whether you're full-time, part-time, or freelance, so why tolerate the same uncertainty in a relationship? If you're serious about building a future with someone, you need to know where they stand, and so do they. When you avoid this conversation, you're essentially saying that you're okay with whatever happens, even if it's not what you want. Ury's advice? Stop passively waiting to see where things go and start setting boundaries and expectations. It's not needy or desperate, it's mature. Let's be clear, the DTR doesn't have to be some dramatic, nail-biting, heart-pounding conversation. You're not asking for a marriage proposal here. Ury suggests keeping it straightforward and kind. Say something like, "I've really been enjoying our time together, and I'm interested in seeing where this could go. How do you feel?" Simple, honest, and direct. If they're on the same page, you'll have the clarity you need to move forward with confidence. And if they're not, well, better to know now than waste months or years on someone who doesn't see a future with you. And let's talk about this idea of scaring them off. Ury points out that if the DTR talk actually scares someone away, that person wasn't serious in the first place. Someone who's ready for a relationship won't be thrown off by a conversation about what you both want. In fact, they'll appreciate the honesty. The only people who fear the DTR are the ones who aren't looking for the same commitment you are. By having this talk, you're not pressuring anyone. You're simply protecting yourself from wasting time with someone who isn't on the same page. Then there's the issue of security. When you avoid defining the relationship, you're also missing out on the peace of mind that comes with knowing where you stand. Instead of feeling confident and secure, you're left analyzing every text, every plan, every interaction. You start reading into everything, wondering if they're still interested or if they're seeing other people. Ury explains that having the DTR conversation can actually deepen your connection. When both people know they're on the same page, it creates a sense of partnership and shared direction. And here's a pro tip. Don't let your fear of rejection keep you from having this talk. Avoiding the DTR because you're scared of being disappointed only leads to more pain down the line. Ury's approach is simple. If you want clarity, you have to ask for it. Waiting indefinitely to see if that other person will step up or figure things out only puts you in a passive position. The DTR is your chance to take control of your love life, to stop waiting on someone else to decide your future, and to start demanding the clarity you deserve. So when should you have the DTR talk? Ury suggests doing it sooner rather than later. If you've been seeing someone consistently for a few months and you're starting to feel invested, that's a good time to check in. You don't need to know every detail of your future together, but you should have a sense of whether you're both moving toward a committed relationship. The longer you wait, the more you risk becoming emotionally attached to someone who may not be in it for the long haul. Key takeaway: don't avoid the DTR talk just because it's uncomfortable. Define the relationship sooner rather than later to protect your time and emotional investment. If they're not ready for commitment, it's better to know now than later. Remember, clarity isn't scary, it's empowering. So take a deep breath, have the conversation, and either build something meaningful or free yourself to find someone who's ready for the real thing. Chapter 11. Don't stay in the wrong relationship out of fear. Here's a hard truth. If you're clinging to a relationship that's not making you happy, you're doing yourself no favors. Logan Ury tackles the tough but common situation many people find themselves in, staying in a relationship because they're afraid of what happens if they leave. Whether it's the fear of being alone, the guilt of breaking someone's heart, or simply not knowing what's next, too many of us stay in the wrong relationships because we think that leaving is somehow scarier. But Ury's message is clear. Staying in a dead-end relationship out of fear is a guaranteed way to waste time you'll never get back. The first problem with staying in a relationship that isn't right, it keeps you from the possibility of finding something better. Imagine hanging onto an old pair of shoes because you're scared of the cost or effort of finding a new pair. Sure, they get you from point A to point B, but they're uncomfortable and falling apart. And while you're wasting time and energy on shoes that don't fit, there are better options out there, ones that would actually bring you comfort and happiness. The same logic applies to relationships. If you're with someone who isn't right for you, you're blocking yourself from meeting someone who is. One of Ury's key points here is that staying in a relationship just because you're afraid to leave doesn't protect you from loneliness. It creates a new kind of loneliness. There's a unique sadness to being in a relationship that doesn't feel like a partnership, to being with someone but feeling misunderstood or unsupported. In other words, loneliness within a relationship can feel even worse than being single. At least when you're single, you have hope and a clear path forward. When you're in the wrong relationship, you're stuck, pretending everything's fine while feeling emptier than ever. Another trap Ury discusses is the sunk cost fallacy. This is when we think, I've already invested so much time here, I can't just walk away. But here's the tough reality. Time spent isn't a reason to keep wasting more time. Whether you've been with someone for 6 months or 6 years, staying longer won't suddenly make the relationship better. The sunk cost mindset keeps you locked into the past, worrying about what you'll lose instead of focusing on what you could gain. Ury's advice? Cut your losses, because every day you stay with the wrong person is another day you're missing out on what life has to offer. And here's a key point. People often think their partner will change. If you're holding on because you're waiting for your partner to magically turn into someone who meets your needs, it's time for a wake-up call. Real change is hard, and it only happens if both people are committed to it. If you've communicated your needs and nothing has changed, it's probably not going to. Ury argues that holding on to the hope of change is just another way of avoiding reality, of giving yourself an excuse to stay when you know deep down that you should leave. Key takeaway: don't stay in the wrong relationship out of fear. It's better to be alone and open to new possibilities than to be stuck in something that's not right. Let go of the sunk cost mindset. Stop waiting for someone to change and have the courage to walk away. Every day with the wrong person is a day you could be spending moving toward the right one. Chapter 12. How to break up gracefully. Alright, so you're ready to call it quits. But breaking up is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, especially if you care about the other person. Logan Ury's approach to breakups is blunt but compassionate. If you're going to end it, do it with respect. Ghosting, breadcrumbing, or dropping vague hints to make the other person figure it out on their own. That's cowardly. If you're serious about finding a real relationship, you need to learn how to end the wrong ones with honesty and integrity. Breakups are painful, yes, but dragging things out or handling them poorly makes everything worse. Ury starts with a simple rule: as soon as you know it's over, end it. Don't hold on out of guilt or because you're afraid of hurting their feelings. The reality is that dragging it out doesn't spare anyone pain. It just prolongs the inevitable. When you know a relationship isn't working, staying longer is unfair to both you and the other person. And let's be clear, waiting until you're sure they'll be okay or strong enough to handle the breakup is just another excuse. They'll be hurt no matter what, so the kindest thing you can do is be straightforward. Another crucial piece of Ury's advice: do it in person whenever possible. Look, texting might feel easier, but it's not the respectful way to end things. Ending a relationship face-to-face gives both of you closure and shows that you valued the connection enough to handle the end with maturity. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, you'll both feel awkward. But in-person breakups give you both a chance to process and ask questions, which can be incredibly helpful for moving on. When it comes to the actual conversation, Ury has a few golden rules. Be kind, be clear, and be concise. Start by acknowledging the good parts of the relationship. No one wants to feel like they were a waste of time. Then, state your reasons for ending things without going into excessive detail. You don't need to list every flaw they have or rehash every argument, just be direct and honest. Finally, leave space for them to respond and be ready to listen. Breaking up gracefully isn't about convincing the other person that they're better off without you. It's about ending things in a way that respects their dignity and your own. For those who feel guilty about breaking up, Ury has a reality check. Guilt is normal, but it's not a reason to stay. If you're ending things out of honesty, that's actually an act of respect, not cruelty. Staying in a relationship because you're scared of hurting the other person will only lead to resentment and ultimately more hurt down the line. Guilt is natural, but it's no reason to keep dragging things out. Key takeaway: break up with respect and honesty. Don't ghost, don't drag it out, and don't avoid the hard conversation. A respectful breakup is about being kind, clear, and concise, even if it's uncomfortable. Handle endings with grace. You owe it to them, and to yourself. Chapter 13, How to Handle Heartbreak. Alright, so you've ended it, or been on the receiving end of a breakup, and now you're left with that heavy, painful, seemingly endless feeling of heartbreak. Logan Ury's advice here is simple but crucial. Give yourself permission to grieve. Heartbreak is real. It's more than just a bad mood or a passing sadness. It's a form of loss, and you have to let yourself feel it in order to heal. Trying to stay strong or distract yourself with rebound dates might feel good in the short term, but Ury warns that the only way out of heartbreak is through it. Ury's first piece of advice is to fully embrace the pain. Too many people try to ignore heartbreak, telling themselves they're fine or over it to avoid the discomfort. But heartbreak doesn't go away just because you pretend it isn't there. In fact, shoving it down only makes it last longer. Let yourself be sad, let yourself cry, and let yourself feel the weight of the loss. Acknowledging the pain isn't weakness, it's the path to moving forward. Whether it's through journaling, talking with friends, or just letting yourself sit in the sadness, allow yourself to grieve. The second key to handling heartbreak: cut contact with your ex. It's brutal, yes, but it's also essential. Staying in touch or checking their social media will only keep you tethered to the past. Ury suggests a 30-day no-contact rule as a way to give yourself the space to heal. This isn't about being cold or cutting them out of your life forever. It's about creating a boundary that allows you to start moving on. Constantly re-exposing yourself to reminders of your ex will keep the wound open. Commit to a period of no contact to allow yourself to really begin the healing process. Ury also addresses the mental spiral that often follows a breakup, the what-ifs, and the endless replaying of moments. It's easy to fall into a loop of self-blame, wondering if you could have done something differently. But Ury cautions against this type of thinking. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, try reframing those thoughts in a constructive way. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this relationship? What do I want in the future? Heartbreak can be a painful but powerful teacher if you're willing to look at it with honesty. Use the experience to clarify what you truly want so you're better prepared to recognize it when you see it. Finally, Ury suggests taking time to focus on self-care and growth. It's tempting to fill the void with quick fixes, social media stalking, impulsive rebound dates, or trying to win them back. But true healing comes from focusing on yourself. Spend time with friends, pick up a new hobby, or throw yourself into work or creative projects. Taking care of yourself not only helps you feel whole again, but it also strengthens your sense of independence. Ury's advice: treat this time as a way to reconnect with who you are outside of a relationship. When you're ready to love again, you'll be stronger and more self-aware for it. Key takeaway: heartbreak is painful, but it's also an opportunity for growth. Allow yourself to grieve, cut contact with your ex, and focus on healing rather than rushing to feel fine again. Use this time to reconnect with yourself, and remember that this pain is temporary. On the other side, you'll emerge stronger, wiser, and ready for a new chapter. Chapter 14, When to Move In Together. Thinking about taking the plunge and moving in with your partner? Before you start daydreaming about shared Sunday mornings and split rent, Logan Ury is here to give you a reality check. Moving in together is a major relationship milestone. It's not just about logistics or convenience, it's about intentionally choosing to deepen your commitment. If you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you're in for a rude awakening. Moving in together won't fix problems in your relationship, it will magnify them. First things first, don't treat moving in together as a test of your relationship. Ury is clear on this point. Too many people think, let's live together and see if we're compatible, or maybe this will help us figure things out. Spoiler, moving in won't make your relationship better. It will simply intensify whatever dynamics are already there. If there's tension or uncertainty now, living together will turn those problems into everyday frustrations. Moving in should be about building on an already stable connection, not as a last resort for relationship issues. To help you avoid this trap, Ury insists on having some critical conversations before signing a lease together. Don't assume you're on the same page about everything from finances to household chores. Instead, tackle the tough topics. How will you split expenses? Who's in charge of cleaning? What are your boundaries around personal space? These may seem like trivial details, but trust me, having clear expectations up front will save you from countless arguments down the line. A happy home isn't built on romance alone, it's built on shared responsibilities and respect. Then there's the issue of maintaining independence. Just because you're sharing a space doesn't mean you have to share every moment of your day. In fact, Ury emphasizes the importance of keeping some personal space and routines. Make time for your own friends, hobbies, and downtime. Living together doesn't mean giving up your individuality. It means learning to balance togetherness with independence. Having your own life outside the relationship will help you avoid the dreaded roommate rot, where you feel more like cohabitants than partners. Finally, Ury suggests a key mindset shift. Approach cohabitation as a partnership, not just as a next step or a convenience. It's not just about splitting the bills or always having someone around to binge Netflix with. Moving in together is a shared commitment to creating a home and a life that works for both of you. It requires compromise, communication, and a willingness to adapt as you figure things out. It's about building something together. And that's not a step to take lightly. Key takeaway, moving in together is a big deal. Don't treat it as a test or a band-aid for relationship issues. Have honest conversations, set boundaries, and approach it with the intention to create a true partnership. Moving in should be an exciting step forward, not an emergency fix for problems. Chapter 15, Should you get married? So, you're thinking about tying the knot. But before you start envisioning wedding bells, Logan Ury asks a vital question. Why do you want to get married? Getting married for the wrong reasons, like pressure from family, societal expectations, or simply because it's time, is a fast track to disappointment. Marriage isn't a romantic status symbol or a relationship milestone to check off. It's a lifelong partnership with real responsibilities. If you're serious about marriage, Ury urges you to dig deep and get honest with yourself. First off, Ury warns against treating marriage as a cure-all for relationship issues. If you're fighting constantly, feeling disconnected, or hoping marriage will bring you closer, think again. Marriage doesn't magically make problems disappear. It just amplifies them. If there are serious issues in your relationship now, adding a marriage license won't fix them. Marriage is about building on a solid foundation, not hoping it will make everything better. Ury's message is clear. Work through your issues before you walk down the aisle, not after. Next, Ury emphasizes the importance of shared values. Love is essential, sure, but it's not enough on its own. Compatibility in values is the cornerstone of a successful marriage. If you and your partner disagree on major life decisions, whether to have kids, where to live, how to handle money, those issues will only become more significant over time. Ury encourages couples to have honest conversations about these topics well before making any lifelong commitments. Don't assume that love alone will smooth over fundamental differences. Shared values are what help you weather the storms, not shared feelings. Ury also wants you to avoid getting married just because it feels like the next step. Too often, people feel pressure to get married once they've been together for a while, as if it's a box they need to check off to legitimize their relationship. But marriage isn't a timeline obligation, it's a conscious choice. Make sure you're choosing it because you genuinely want to build a life with this person, not because it's what comes next. Ury advises couples to take their time, ensuring they're both truly ready for the level of commitment marriage requires. And here's a reality check for anyone who's feeling pressured by family or friends to get married. You're the one who has to live with this decision, not them. Ury reminds us that external pressure can cloud our judgment. Don't let anyone else's expectations push you into a commitment you're not ready for. The decision to get married should be made because it feels right for you, not because your family or society thinks you should. Key takeaway: marriage is a serious commitment, not a quick fix or a box to check. Only consider it if you and your partner share values, have worked through your issues, and are doing it because it feels right, not because of external pressure. Marriage is a choice, not an obligation. Chapter 16: The Science of Keeping the Spark Alive. So, you found the one, you're committed, maybe even married, and now what? Logan Ury wants you to know that relationships don't thrive on autopilot. If you want to keep that spark alive, you're going to have to put in the work. Love might bring you together, but it's effort and intention that keep you together. Building a strong, lasting relationship takes consistent effort, not just grand gestures on anniversaries. Ury's first piece of advice: create daily rituals of connection. It's easy to get comfortable and start taking each other for granted, but little acts of appreciation make a big difference. Whether it's a morning coffee together, a good night kiss, or a regular "how was your day" check-in, these small moments remind both of you that you're in this together. They might seem minor, but these daily rituals keep your bond strong, even when life gets chaotic. Then there's the matter of novelty. Ury stresses that introducing new activities into your relationship is one of the best ways to keep the excitement going. Whether it's trying a new restaurant, going on a weekend trip, or taking up a hobby together, these experiences bring you closer and help you see each other in a fresh light. Research shows that novelty boosts dopamine, the feel-good hormone, and rekindles that early relationship excitement. So don't let your relationship become predictable. Add a little spice with new experiences. But maintaining a spark isn't all about adventure, it's also about communication. Open, honest communication is the glue that holds a relationship together. Don't wait for resentment to build up before bringing up issues. Have regular check-ins where you talk about what's working, what's not, and what you appreciate about each other. Good communication isn't just about avoiding fights, it's about deepening your connection and staying on the same page as life evolves. A healthy relationship is built on conversations, not assumptions. Lastly, Ury encourages couples to stay curious about each other. The person you're with is constantly growing and changing, just like you are. Don't assume you know everything about them. Keep asking questions, stay interested, and treat each other as evolving individuals. Curiosity keeps the relationship dynamic and helps you avoid getting stuck in a rut. Remember, you're not just building a relationship, you're building a life together, and that requires continuous effort. Key takeaway: the spark doesn't keep itself alive. Build it with daily rituals, inject novelty, communicate openly, and stay curious. Relationships thrive on effort, not autopilot. Chapter 17: Love and the Power of Gratitude. Listen up. If you're feeling restless or underwhelmed in your relationship, it might not be the relationship that's the issue. It might be you. Logan Ury has a tough love truth bomb to drop here. When's the last time you actually paid attention to all the little things your partner does or took a second to appreciate them? If you're thinking, yeah, well, they know I'm grateful, then guess what? You're slacking. Gratitude isn't just a nice thing to feel, it's a critical ingredient for keeping love alive. Want a happier, stronger relationship? It's time to start actively appreciating what's right in front of you. Here's the catch. Gratitude isn't just about the occasional thank you. It's about really noticing all those small, everyday gestures your partner makes. Did they make your coffee in the morning? Did they give you a moment to vent about your insane day? Don't brush it off like it's nothing, because every one of those actions is a way of saying, I care about you. Ury argues that consistently recognizing and acknowledging these little moments doesn't just make your partner feel valued, it strengthens your bond. When you build a habit of gratitude, you're creating a relationship where both of you feel seen and appreciated. That's where real satisfaction comes from. And here's the science behind it. Studies show that couples who regularly express gratitude feel closer, more satisfied, and even more committed. Gratitude isn't just some Hallmark card sentiment, it's relationship glue. If you're not showing appreciation, you're creating an environment where resentment can quietly build. Ury's advice: make gratitude a daily habit. Look for something every single day that your partner does to make your life a little better. then tell them you noticed. It's that simple. If you're still thinking, do I really need to do this every day? Yes, you do. And if you want to take it even further, Ury suggests a gratitude journal. Yep, that's right. A place where you jot down things you appreciate about your partner every day. Sounds a little cheesy? Maybe, but think of it as training your brain to focus on the positives rather than nitpicking the little annoyances. Over time, you'll find yourself seeing your partner in a whole new light, even on the days when they leave the dishes in the sink again. And here's one last thing. Verbalize it. Don't keep your gratitude to yourself. Sure, thinking I appreciate them is nice, but it doesn't mean anything if they never hear it. Tell them, show them, write it down, whatever it takes to get the point across. Trust me, I love you lands way harder when it's backed up with, and here's why. If you want a relationship that feels warm, secure, and worth fighting for, start by making gratitude a priority. Key takeaway, want a happier relationship? Start by showing appreciation. Make gratitude a habit, express it out loud, and keep your focus on the good. Gratitude isn't optional, it's the fuel that keeps love strong. So if you've been taking your partner for granted, it's time to flip the script and start paying attention to what they're doing right. Chapter 18. Design a relationship that works for both of you. Alright, so you found someone you love, committed to building a future together, maybe even tied the knot. But here's the reality. A relationship that works for both of you isn't just going to happen. If you're waiting for your partnership to magically mold itself into a perfect fit, you're in for a rude awakening. Logan Ury's advice, design the relationship you want and make sure it actually works for both of you. Relationships aren't one size fits all, and if you don't build yours with intention, you're setting yourself up for frustration. Step 1. Set boundaries and expectations and actually communicate them. Don't assume your partner has the same views on money, family, or future goals as you do. Sit down and ask the uncomfortable questions. How do you want to handle finances? Who's doing what around the house? How much time are you okay spending with each other's families? If you think love will just figure it out, you're going to end up resentful when you're fighting over unspoken expectations. Real talk. Boundaries and clear expectations are what keep resentment at bay, not unconditional love or compromise. Respect each other's space, clarify your needs, and be upfront about what you want. Next up, Ury's got another gem for building a solid partnership. Shared goals. This isn't about both wanting to retire to a beach house someday, though that's nice too. We're talking about actionable, real-world goals that give your relationship purpose. Maybe you want to save for a trip to Japan, run a half marathon together, or work toward buying a house. Having shared goals gives your relationship direction and makes you both feel like you're on a team. And don't underestimate the power of small goals either, like reading the same book or trying a new recipe together every week. The point is to build a life that feels meaningful for both of you, rather than just getting by side. But perhaps the most important part of designing a successful relationship, flexibility. Let's face it, life will throw you curveballs. You might move for a job, face a health crisis, or find yourselves on different career paths. A rigid relationship model is bound to crack under pressure. Ury argues that the best relationships are the ones that evolve as you both grow. Make it a habit to check in with each other regularly. Ask yourselves, is this still working for us? And what do we need to adjust? Relationships that last aren't the ones that stay the same. They're the ones that adapt and grow as life changes. And here's a critical point. Don't look to anyone else's relationship as a model for yours. Ury emphasizes that every relationship is unique, and if you're trying to follow someone else's playbook, you're missing the chance to create something that's truly yours. Stop comparing and start designing. The best partnerships are ones where both people feel like their needs are met, their boundaries respected, and their dreams supported. Build that. Key takeaway: a great relationship doesn't just happen, it's something you design together. Set clear boundaries, create shared goals, and stay flexible. Don't copy someone else's relationship model, make one that's right for both of you. A successful relationship is built with intention, not by accident, so take control and make it work for you. Exercises and tools for better relationships. If you're ready to take Ury's advice to heart, the appendix is packed with exercises and tools to help you put all these principles into practice. This section isn't just filler, it's a toolkit for anyone serious about building a meaningful connection. From self-assessment quizzes to communication guides, Ury's exercises are designed to help you understand yourself and your partner better. And let's be honest, we could all use a little extra guidance when it comes to love. One of the most powerful exercises in this section is the free dating tendencies quiz. Remember when Ury broke down the Romanticizer, the Maximizer, and the Hesitator types? Now, she's giving you a concrete way to figure out which one you are. Understanding your tendency can give you insight into why you keep running into the same issues and help you break out of those patterns. For instance, if you're a maximizer, you'll learn how to stop over-analyzing every detail and start focusing on the bigger picture. Another key tool in the appendix is the Relationship Check-In Guide. This is a structured way to regularly touch base with your partner about what's working and what's not. Ury suggests doing these check-ins every month or so, and she provides a framework for the conversation. What are each of you grateful for? What's something you'd like to improve? What are your shared goals for the next few months? These questions might feel a bit formal, but they're a great way to keep communication open and make sure you're both feeling valued and supported. Ury also includes exercises for working through tough conversations and managing conflict. These aren't just about avoiding fights, they're about having productive disagreements. Let's face it, every relationship has conflicts. The trick isn't avoiding them, but learning how to navigate them without hurting each other. Ury's exercises focus on active listening, empathy, and keeping calm under pressure. Key takeaway: the appendix is your roadmap to better relationships. Use these exercises and tools to understand yourself, communicate more effectively, and strengthen your bond. Love isn't just something that happens, it's something you build with intention. Conclusion: choose love intentionally. Alright, let's bring it all together. Here's the deal. If you've been feeling like love is some elusive, mystical thing that just happens to the lucky few, it's time to rethink that. Logan Ury's message throughout How to Not Die Alone is loud and clear. Love isn't a magical accident or some grand destiny. It's a choice. It's a choice you make when you decide to approach dating with purpose, when you set aside outdated fairy tale fantasies, and when you stop letting fear or endless choice paralyze you. Finding love and keeping it is about choosing to show up, choosing to put in the work, and choosing to be honest with yourself about what you want. Throughout this book, Ury has shattered the myths that hold us back, from the fantasy of the one to the idea that love should always feel effortless. She's laid out the traps we fall into: the romanticizers who chase perfect chemistry, the maximizers who overthink every option, and the hesitators who never feel quite ready for love. And she's given us the tools to break free from those patterns so we can find something real and lasting. So if you're tired of waiting for love to just happen, this is the book that will help you take control of your dating life. It's not about guaranteeing you'll find the perfect person, hint, they don't exist, but about equipping you with the skills to create a strong, intentional relationship when you do meet someone worth investing in. Ury's approach is real, grounded in behavioral science, and surprisingly fun. Her advice is both practical and powerful, whether you're just starting to date, considering a big commitment, or trying to bring more intention and spark into an existing relationship. If you're ready to stop making excuses, to look hard at the habits and beliefs holding you back, and to learn how to build a relationship that truly works for you, then it's time to grab a copy of How to Not Die Alone. Think of this book as your guide to navigating love in the real world, clear, relatable, and rooted in science. So go ahead, invest in yourself, invest in your future, and give yourself the tools to build the love story that lasts. Your future self will thank you.